video is an introduction to my new Bento box quilt pattern, a knitted quilt of course. And this is the introduction. There's kind of a lot of content in the introduction, and next week, depending on when you're watching this, there will be a free pattern and video tutorial available. We can go ahead and cut away to a picture of the whole quilt. You can see it's kind of visually confusing, but it's not a difficult pattern, and it's actually not difficult construction either, but it's kind of visually confusing, so I wanted to separate this into two separate videos. This one we'll talk about the construction and the yarn, and I'll give you a free coloring page so you can workshop some different colors for it. And then next week we can start right in with the knitting. And this video is sponsored by KPC yarn. I'm using their gorgeous Gossip Chunky Organic Cotton for this blanket. This yarn was a delight to work with, and we'll talk more about the yarn in a minute. My inspiration for this is I always click through when someone posts something about a quilt show, you know, fabric, regular quilts, because they're beautiful and I sometimes get inspiration for knitting patterns from them. And I saw this bento box design come up a few times, and I looked carefully at it because, like I said, it's kind of visually confusing, but I looked carefully at it and I was like, those are mitered squares. We can do that in knitting. And so I put together the pattern. If you actually do a Google image search of bento box quilts, you'll get a lot of different images of the fabric quilts that people have made, and that can actually help you a lot with color inspiration. What I have here is just one example of colors, and if my log cabin blanket pattern is anything to go on, you guys have some really good ideas for putting different colors together. Okay, so let me move this, and I want to show you this. This is one of the quilt blocks in the blanket. And I'm showing you this. You make 16 of these for the blanket. I'm showing you this because I'm going to use some visual aids, and I want you to keep in mind that this is the actual size of the quilt block, not a little tiny square of paper. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I've put together. Okay, these are what the quilt blocks look like in my little example here. And you're going to make two different color combinations. The knitting is identical in both. And you see here in the colors that I've chosen, there's one background color that runs in both squares, and then a second color and a third color. And this is the way the whole thing goes together. So this right here is actually one pattern repeat. You're going to repeat this 3 more times to make the whole blanket. Like you saw in the picture, you don't really get the idea of how it goes together. I want you to really understand the construction before you start knitting. And I realized I tried a bunch of different things to make this as easy as possible. The visual aids I put together here were the easiest way, I think, to make it easily understood. Okay, so that's how the whole thing goes together, minus the border. That's the whole blanket. This repeat 4 times total, minus the border. The mitered squares all start here at the center of each one of the 4 repeats. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm leading you up to an easy understanding of this whole thing. Hopefully. Okay. Now the next thing I want to show you is the coloring page I've put together. And this is an example of a blank coloring page. This part right here is actually the key. It has the letters in it. You see the empty squares are the A color, and then B in my blanket is represented by green. I'll turn it so you can see. And then C in my blanket is represented by pink. And this is how the whole thing goes together. This is an exact replica of the little squares I just showed you placed. And then one step further before we get to the real coloring part, this is the exact same thing without the letters in it. I discovered that it wasn't very fun to color in over the letters. So you have this as an option if you want to workshop some different colors. But I actually found that I preferred that the grid lines didn't look very good when I was coloring. So I left you a big empty square to color in. And this is just like that without the grid, just like this without the grid lines. And you can use this as a key when you fill in this. And I'll show you, here's one that I filled in. I'm not that great at coloring, and I don't even really have that many colored pencils to choose from, but you get the idea. It's all here. I have my main color, which in this is white, my second color in this, which is purple, my third color is orange, and my border wasn't supposed to be this color, but it's gray. It looks all right. You get the idea. Okay. So many things. I've got a list here because there are so many things I want to get taken care of in this intro so we can just start knitting next week. This yarn, this awesome yarn from KPC, is machine washable, and on the yarn label it says machine wash, but it doesn't recommend machine drying. Well, I went ahead and put it to the test. I knit up this sample and I used all the colors in my blanket, and I machine washed and dried it, and it came out beautifully. There was no color bleeding. It came out of the dryer beautifully. And after I did this sample, I felt confident enough to put my whole big blanket in the washer and the dryer, and it actually came out looking better. The stitches looked more even after washing and drying. So KPC doesn't recommend drying. It worked out fine for me. I put it to the test a couple of times here. And while we're looking at my colors, I forgot to tell you, these are happy springtime colors, but I actually used sushi colors. Rice, wasabi, pickled ginger, and salmon. So they ended up looking like kind of a springtime blanket, but I was thinking sushi when I picked the colors. Okay, when you go to the KPC website to order your yarn, I come up against this every time I work with KPC. The default currency on their website is in Hong Kong dollars, and the yarn's going to look ridiculously expensive. It's not. The Hong Kong dollar, last time I checked, is 13 cents on the US dollar. But at the top of the page, you can select the currency from your country and actually see what the actual price is. It's a great value on organic cotton. And don't worry about ordering from Hong Kong. The shipments arrive so quickly. I've ordered several times from KPC, and my order from KPC usually arrives more quickly than a domestic yarn order. I don't know how they do it, but it's not going to take forever for your yarn to arrive, and I've heard the same thing from a lot of other people. Quick shipping, and yes, 40 colors available on their website, and they also have this awesome little basket where you can throw different colors in and see how, it's called mix and match, I think. You can see how different colors look together before you actually start your coloring page. Okay, and speaking of the coloring page, if you click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner, that will take you to my website. And on my website, I have a link to the Gossip Chunky Organic Cotton Yarn. I'll have a link so you can download your coloring page. I will also have information about the needle size and the yarn amounts, so you know how much to order. What am I missing? I think that's it. And depending on when you're watching this, if the tutorial for the knitting part, the free pattern and the tutorial is already available, I'll be sure to give you a link to that if you click the little eye. Otherwise, have fun with your coloring page and picking your colors, and we will get started with the knitting next week.